Hey, we're getting into something that clearly a lot of you are thinking about based on the stuff you've sent us about the Warriors.
Yeah, the big question.
Is Draymond Green the guy, the absolute key, if they want another championship?
It's a fascinating question, and the sources you shared, they really dig into his role from, like, all angles.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack that material and figure out, based on those sources, just how defining is his impact for their title hopes. Okay, let's jump in.
So the first thing that really jumps out from the readings is this idea of Draymond as the emotional core.
The heart and soul, right. That phrase came up a lot.
It did, and it's presented as more than just, a nice label. The analysis really points to his leadership, how vocal he is,
Right.
and how that creates accountability, which, well, we know that's huge for any team trying to win it all, dealing with that pressure.
No doubt. Then there's the defense. I mean, the sources you sent really hammer this home. It's undeniable.
Oh, absolutely.
One piece, I think you shared it, called him a defensive chess master. I thought that was pretty spot on.
Yeah, that captures it well.
It wasn't just about, guarding different positions, though. That's part of it. It was more about the anticipation.
Seeing plays before they happen.
Exactly. Disrupting things early. It really emphasized his intelligence on defense. Almost like having another coach out there.
That's a great way to put it. And, that defensive stability, that's kind of what lets the rest of the team operate the way they do on offense.
Right. Take those chances, play that free-flowing style.
Precisely. And your sources also brought up his very specific role on offense, too. Not scoring, necessarily, but facilitating.
The unconventional point forward idea.
Yes. Highlighting his passing, especially out of double teams, and just seeing the court, finding cutters. That's so crucial for how they create space.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
It feels like he sets up so many open shots, even if he's not getting the final pass,
Uh-huh. And that leads straight into the Curry connection, which your sources definitely focused on.
Oh, yeah. The sixth sense connection was one phrase used.
Right. And the material goes into how Green just knows where Curry's going to be, anticipating his moves, getting him the ball right in his pocket for those quick threes that just demoralize opponents.
It's clearly a partnership that lifts the entire offense, not just those two.
And this really highlights something else your sources mentioned. You can't just look at Draymond's box score.
No way. Especially the points column.
Right. If you only look at scoring, you completely miss his value. It's about those intangible wins they talked about.
His basketball IQ, controlling the pace.
Exactly. Little things that don't necessarily show up, but lead to winning.
And that ties into the whole mentality piece, too. That championship DNA your sources kept mentioning.
Yeah, his drive. The analysis pointed out how he often plays better in the big playoff moments.
Which suggests it's not just talk, right? It actually translates into performance when everything's on the line.
Definitely. So if we're pulling it all together, thinking back to our main question, what's the core argument from these materials about him being the key?
Well, it feels like the overwhelming message, at least from this set of sources, is that his unique mix of skills is, frankly, indispensable.
Yeah, that seems fair. The sources make a really strong case that his leadership, the defense, the unique playmaking, and that specific Curry connection, it all combines to make the Warriors something special.
Something potentially championship level.
Right, and it's hard, based on this analysis, to see them hitting that absolute peak without Draymond playing like Draymond.
Okay, so the big takeaway from our deep dive today, looking squarely at the materials provided, is that Draymond Green's impact runs incredibly deep for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Way beyond the standard stats.
He's framed as a leader, the defensive anchor, a vital offensive hub, and Curry's crucial partner.
So here's something to chew on then, based on all that. The sources clearly argue he's a key, maybe the key. But could they still realistically win it all if, say, he wasn't quite at his peak performance level? Considering Steph, Klay, the other talent they might have.
Or has he truly become that one irreplaceable piece? The linchpin everything else depends on for that championship dream.
It's definitely not a simple yes or no, is it? Something for our listeners to think about.